Sarah dies at the opening of this week's parasha, 127 years old. Abraham mourns for her and cries for her, and then goes about burying Sarah. Abraham invests in the land of Canaan, what later will become the land of Israel, and acquires a plot of land for burial. So the very first land that is owned by any one of our people, Abraham being our founding forefather, is a place for burial where we inter ourselves again into the earth. Abraham goes to the people of Het and he says, I want to acquire a burial plot. I actually have my eye on this cave, Machpelah, at the edge of the area. And they say, well, that belongs to Ephron. He says, I would like to ask Ephron to sell it to me. Ephron comes to Abraham and he says, we'll give you our plots for free. We'll give anything that you wish and ask for us for free. You are Nesi Elohim Betochenu. You are a prince of God among us. Abraham says, thank you, but no. This I must acquire. It must belong to me. And so Ephron says 400 silver pieces should do. Abraham says, very well. He counts out the silver pieces in cash and gives it over to Ephron and buries Sarah in Ma'arat Machpelah. Abraham does not miss a beat, and he immediately goes on to his next order of business in his life, and he turns to his servant, saying, the head of his household essentially, who's in charge of all that Abraham possesses, and says, I need to find a wife for my son Yitzhak. It's time for him to marry. I don't want him marrying any of the local women. I want you to go back home and get someone from there for my son. The servant says to Abraham, not incidentally, in the actual text, the servant's name is never mentioned. It is our Mesorah, it is our tradition that this is Eliezer, the servant of Abraham. All he is ever called in the text, in this story, is the servant. And so Abraham says, you go back home and you get a wife for my son. He says, well, how will I know who she is? And when I do go, if she wants to stay there, should I bring Isaac there and that they'll live over back at home in Padan Aram? He says, absolutely not. Either she comes here or she's the wrong woman. He needs to live here with someone from there. And so he says, swear to me, place your hand under my thigh, which was a sign of a covenant, an oath. And so does the servant, promises, swears to Abraham that he will do as he's told. He ends up going back to Abraham's hometown, and he is by a well. He figures out a plan to try and figure out how it is that he's going to deduce which woman is the right one for Yitzhak. He says, I'll see, this is the way that we'll do it. If she offers me drink from the well, and offers my camels as well, which is an ordeal, because camels don't drink a glass of water. I mean, camels drink. And so that would mean that she was invested in really helping this person, really investing herself in being able to provide what this person needed. He says, if she's able to give me drink and my camels drink, then that's how I know she's the woman for Yitzhak. And right as he finishes speaking, just as he's finishing this dialogue with God, hoping that God will guide him, Rivka comes out. Rivka, of course, is the niece of Abraham. And so she comes out to the well and she says to him, how can I help you? Can I offer you something to drink? Oh, and I'll take care of your camels too. The servant looks up, recognizes this is the woman. He asks who you are. She says, I'm Rivka, the daughter of Betuel, here in Aram. And he says, you're our family. This is wonderful. Gives her a nose ring, some arm bracelets to wear, and she brings him to her family. Her brother Laban sees this man coming and his sister adorned and realizes that this must be something big. Laban goes over to him and he says, welcome. We have place for you. Stay with us. This is a wonderful thing. You're coming from our cousin's household. And he says, indeed I am. They prepare dinner for him and they say, please eat. Sit with us. He says, I'm not eating until I tell you what it is that I have to tell you. And he proceeds to go through the entire ordeal. And the Torah gives him those lines to speak in the Torah. The Achamim say, it's astonishing that a servant of Abraham Abinu is given this much space in the psukim, in the verses of the Torah, to talk, when we know that in many instances, economy is given to practically everyone when the Torah is presenting us ideas. And so they say the dialogue or language or discussion of the servants of our forefathers is greater than even the dialogue of their very children. And so we see that the servant of Abraham tells the story over again, and he says, I'm not eating until I tell you the story, because I need to know, are you down with this marriage? Am I going to be able to take Rivka back with me? They say, have her. Of course, this is what a wonderful marriage this is. And so he sits and he eats, and he says, and they say, why don't you hang around for a day or 10 around, our place? Relax with us, get to know us a bit. He says, I can't stay. I've got to be diligent. My master is waiting at home, and I have to be able to bring his wife back. And they say, well, why don't we ask Rivka and see what she wants to do? Rivka says, I'm out of here. Let's go. And so he takes Rivka. They come back to Abraham and to Yitzhak. Yitzhak is out in the field when they are arriving, and he sees her on the camel. She sees him. She says, who's that? They say, that's my master. And she sees him. She covers his face and comes off of the camel.